So today I'm going to be taking you guys through my #1 favorite fragrance for each month of the year. So this is pretty cool because we're going to be going through the seasons, and for each season and each month, as the weather, temperature changes and the mood and the vibes change, you'll see how my #1 choice for that particular month and season kind of evolves as we go on here. Now, a couple quick disclaimers that I got to get out of the way here. First and foremost, this type of video could change at any time. If I get something new and I fall in love with it and it's amazing, that might take place over something else existing in the list. That's very common in this hobby for all of us to swap back and forth, and especially when you have a collection like mine where it's completely out of hand and you have a lot of stuff to choose from, it can be hard to narrow it down. It could change at any point. The second thing is, this is only in production fragrances that you guys can go out and purchase right now. Now, in a perfect world, which right now my fragrance world is pretty much perfect, during these seasons, if I'm feeling like I want to wear a discontinued scent, then I would just go ahead and wear that one. But for the sake of this video, trying to keep it fair to you guys, I'm not including any of those. But other than that, we're going to run through these here. I will link them down below, and I also want to point you over to my community tab where I'm posting deals every day, and I have a mailing list you can sign up to as well, which is your best bet. Just yesterday, Gentleman Reserve Privé 100ml testers came in stock for like $77, and that sold out within a half hour of me sending out the email. So if you want to get great deals like that, Luminous Night, Ideal Extreme also came in stock yesterday and sold out pretty quickly. Make sure you get signed up to the mailing list. All right, let's get it kicked off with January, quite fitting. And so what have I been wearing this month, and what have I been gravitating towards? Well, something kind of warm and cozy and inviting like Armani Code Absolu. You know, this one's all about the vanilla, tonka suede, and some orange in here off the top. Smells great. Big fan of this one. I think it's a really well done flanker. And as I said, this one is very comforting, very soothing, and we've kind of been in the midst of some winter storms here recently. Nothing too crazy or major, but it's been getting cold and snow has been falling a little bit here. So this one just really kind of gives you that wintertime cozy type of smell. I think this one is great for the coldest of winter months, and that's kind of where we're heading into January going into February. So what would I wear in February? Well, something like Mercedes-Benz Private. Now, actually, if you look on Fragrantica and some other websites, this one's kind of titled as Mercedes-Benz Man Private. And to me, that sounds a little bit uncomfortable, so I'm just calling it Mercedes-Benz Private. This one has cedarwood, patchouli, and cypress here. Heavy on the woods, and I think this one really holds up well when it is brisk and chilly outside. And kind of why I chose this is because it's a different take. You know, a lot of guys may be getting into the heavy tobaccos and stuff in the wintertime, and especially maybe in February when it gets super, super cold, and that's definitely the way to go. Generally, I kind of get my tobacco fix out of the way when we first head into late fall, early winter time, and so by February, as we're now getting closer to spring, I kind of start gravitating towards some different things I can pull out, and I definitely can't wear this really in spring or summertime, and so that kind of leaves fall and winter, and I think it's a real nice, strong, woody, patchouli-based scent for the cold months, and really cuts through the air, has a nice masculine, overpowering smell to it. It's about $40 on discounters. It's a great performer as well. Nice one that doesn't get a whole lot of hype. Okay, so jumping into March, you know, this is the month that officially starts spring. I believe March 20th this year is when spring officially starts. So kind of going towards the end there, you start maybe thinking about pulling out some fresher scents. You're starting to get more sunlight. You're starting to get some higher highs. Still gets down to a pretty chilly low in the evening, depending on where you live, of course, it does here. And so what do I start gravitating towards? Honestly, in March, when we get to that time, and last year it was a pretty warm one, I jumped the gun and I started getting into things like Parfums de Marly SEDLEY. I was just diving right in. You know, this one has lemon, mint, ambroxan, there's bergamot, there's musk, a whole bunch of stuff. But primarily it's very green, very fresh, minty, and has a little bit of that blue fragrance thing going on. But it's quite a bit different than your Bleu de Chanel's and all of the other blues like Sauvage and that sort of thing. Kind of stands out, but it's one of my favorite fresh ones from Parfums de Marly, and I also get great performance out of this one as well. So SEDLEY, definitely one you should check out. And while it may be jumping the gun for some, maybe you would wait till April or May, that's kind of usually when I start getting into stuff like this, especially with how weird the weather is here. We can have highs of close to 70, 60 in March, kind of as outliers, and it's pretty crazy. Okay, so now we're up to April. So now we're kind of getting into some more rain. You know, things are starting to come to life a little bit, maybe towards the end of April, but you still have some of those cooler days, but you also have some of those warmer days as well. And I would go for something like Artisan Pure. You know, I've described this one many times as being one of the best spring designer scents that you could buy. Still stand by that. And when you factor in the price point, about $35 or so on discounters here in the US, that makes this one a complete no-brainer in my opinion. Now this one has clementine, it's got orange, there's some petitgrain in here, some lemon as well, some minor woods, but really it's all about that nice orange petitgrain kind of floral texture and scent with a little bit of a bite to it, a little bit of a kick from the citrus and the petitgrain. Really, really impressive stuff. And, you know, definitely could pass as a $60, $70, $80 scent. At one point, this one was hovering around $60, $65. So the price has gone down drastically, which is good to see. If you're wanting to get this one for springtime, even though we're still a little bit early, might not be a bad idea to think about picking one up sooner rather than later, because likely this one could start to get a little bit tough as soon as we get into the warmer months. Okay, so moving into May, the days are getting even longer, the sun is staying out, you know, it's up high in the sky, it's feeling warm, you're feeling good, but sometimes you may have a rainy day here and there. You might have a day that's just a little bit chillier on average. And so what do I usually think of for May? You know, honestly, I think it's a good time to bring out something like this. Chanel Allure Homme Edition Blanche. This one has vanilla, it's got lemon, some sandalwood in here, and this is basically your lemon pie summer gourmand. Is essentially what I call it. Well, I mean, everybody calls it that, but I kind of refer to it as my go-to summer gourmand scent. You know, something that you can wear just when it's warmer outside, but it gives you kind of that sweetness and a little bit of an edible type of smell. Now, I know May isn't officially summer yet. However, sometimes in May, it will feel like summer. In fact, last year, we had a couple record days of 90 degrees in May. And that was when we first hit the water. It was like middle of May or something. It was pretty crazy. And so, you know, maybe that's a little bit warm for this one, but kind of in the mid-range temperature there, you know, your 70, 75s and that sort of thing, that would be perfect for this one. Really impressive scent and quite unique for what it is. Alrighty, now moving into June, summer is going to be in full swing with RASASI HAWAS here. This is my go-to summer fun scent. Any fun summer activity you can think of, chances are I'm probably wearing this, or if not, I was between this and something else, and the other thing won for that day. However, this one is usually one of the first to come to my mind when it's summertime and I want to go out and do some fun summer stuff. And as a little aside, I'll give you a bonus here, a discontinued one that I would normally loop in, Bulgari Aqua Atlantique. I wear that heavily in the summertime, but that's not the official one here because it's discontinued. Now this one has plum, bergamot, ambroxan, watery notes. It's that Invictus Aqua DNA, and this is what started it right here. And I love it. I think it's great. It's a great performer, a 12+ hour, fun in the sun, playful scent, very youthful. Nothing about this is mature, but it's a great one for the June hot days and the long days and summer nights and all of that stuff. So moving into July, things can start to get a little bit nasty. You start getting into that humidity. You start getting into the really, really high highs, you know, just super hot days, long days. And if you have to do any sort of work in this type of weather, hats off to you guys working construction and everything else. You guys are a different breed if you're able to handle that, because it is some intense stuff. You got to stay hydrated for sure in July. And so usually that kind of begs the question of, okay, what fragrance do I wear? Especially if you're working outside. The last thing you probably want is to be pestered by a scent. However, here is one that can be quite refreshing if used right. Dior Homme Cologne. It would be a great one. There's only 3 notes to it. It's got bergamot, I believe an orange blossom, and then musk. Okay, it's just very simple, and really that's about all you get from it. But it's tart, it's refreshing, it's bright, it's vibrant, it smells amazing, and I've been a fan of this for years at this point. And this is one where you can actually put the bottle in the freezer. When you spray it on, it's cold, it's nice and refreshing. That's not necessary though. You can just grab it off the shelf, spray it on, and when you head outside, it won't get too cloying or too annoying like some of the others here in this video. Like for example, the RASASI, that thing could be an untamed beast in the July heat if you're not careful. But something like this you really can't go wrong with, and you really won't offend anyone. Same deal with August. It can get really hot, really muggy, really humid. And so another option for you, this one has a little bit more going on, but it's still very wearable in these seasons. I've worn it in July and August quite a bit last year. Acqua di Gio Profondo. So this one has mineral notes, orange, aquatic notes, or sea notes, or whatever it may be, right? Such a unique take on the aquatic scent. If you like the Acqua di Gio lineup, this is a must-have. I mean, this really does it different, and it's a nice, refreshing take on a DNA that is heavily oversaturated and can be quite boring. You know, this one's just a real nice mass pleaser, a great performer. It just works great all the way around. Great quality out of it as well. Perfect for those hot August days. Okay, so now we're moving into September. You'll notice the days are starting to shorten up quite a bit pretty quickly, and generally with September you'll have those lower lows, like maybe you'll wake up in the morning and it'll be 60, 65 degrees, but then you have this high of 85 or something like that. So it's kind of those weird days where it's like, all right, what do I wear? Generally for me, September, I kind of start thinking about some blue fragrances again, maybe some ones with depth that I wouldn't normally gravitate towards when it was super hot out. And because you have those cooler days, those cooler mornings, and those cooler evenings in September, excuse me, then maybe I would go for something like Dylan Blue by Versace. C notes, it's got patchouli, some incense in here, and of course a load of ambroxan. But you know, it's one of my favorite blues. You know, this, Eau de Parfum, and you know, maybe one of the Sauvages or whatever, Atlantique. Oh, there's a ton of them, and I love my blue fragrances. But I do think this one is worth every ounce of hype that it gets. Given it's about $45, it has 12+ hour performance. It's strong, it's a mass pleaser, and that smoky incense in here really does this one justice, and it makes it stand out big time. Okay, so now we're getting into fall. You know, think Halloween, think putting up Halloween fall decorations. You start getting those really short days, and sometimes you'll still have highs that can be pretty warm in October, but otherwise it's going to be generally a little bit cooler as you get towards the end of the month and you get into hoodie weather and that sort of thing. So for me, when I think about this time of year, I think of something like this every single time. Rochas Moustache Eau de Parfum. This was one of the first ones I filled out in this video. Went straight down to October and I penciled it in because I knew that I had to have this one in here for that month. And it just works great. You know, it's got vanilla, benzoin, pink pepper, patchouli. It's just such a unique DNA overall. If you can afford the YSL Tuxedo, go for it. That's great. I have it as well, but I found myself to really just enjoy the clones of this. You know, this Afnan Tarathi Brown is another one. We have Latafa the Tux, yet another one. There's a ton of great ones out there at varying price points. This is just one that I am kind of partial to at the end of the day. But my advice to you is get this DNA in your collection. Doesn't matter which clone you go for. Pick your favorite. Pick the original if you want to. But you got to have something like this in there. Okay, moving on to November. You know, you're starting to get into some cooler weather. It's starting to look more like winter time. Things are dying off. Things are getting dark a lot quicker, and it's just getting cold, right? So for me, this is kind of like my last hurrah in terms of having something with any sort of remote freshness about it. You know, it's kind of like my fighting chance to get the last little bit of clinging on to summer out of me as I can, because then you get into December, January, February, and it just gets cold, cold, cold. And so what do I choose for November? Usually, if I don't drop it, MANCERA Intense CEDRAT BOISE would be my choice now. However, before, I was wearing CEDRAT BOISE Eau de Parfum in November and even into December, actually, very frequently. And so nowadays, when you factor in the price, the performance, everything about it, this one's about $100 at discounters. The Eau de Parfum's about $80, sometimes $90. To me, get the Intense. Just get this one, go for the Parfum, and that's really all you need. If you have the Eau de Parfum, this is still a great upgrade to have. You get better performance, you get more richness, more depth. To me, this is the way to go, and this is how a flanker should be done. And so if you've been on the fence about CEDRAT BOISE, you're reading reviews of the Eau de Parfum, which people are claiming to have been reformulated, just don't bother with it and jump into the Parfum. This one will solve your performance issues. It's an extrait, it is strong as heck. And yeah, this one has a fruitiness going on, some black currant, lemon, and that sort of thing. Then you get some woods, cedar, sandalwood, right? A little bit of a ambery, vanillic tone in the dry down. But again, you know, you get that fruitiness and a little bit of a slight freshness off the top, almost a pineapple-y type of smell, which people automatically equate to Aventus. No, this does not smell like Aventus. This is very much its own thing, and it's kind of just, I don't know, it's been lumped into Aventus and it's been tied to it. If you want Aventus, get it, or an Aventus clone, but this is not that. And last up, December. So this is the month of all the holidays, right? Not all of them, but Christmas primarily, or whatever you celebrate in December. And so, you know, for me, usually I'm thinking about something like SPICEBOMB Extreme. You know, this one has that vanilla, it's got that black pepper, the tobacco, and it's cinnamon as well. And it smells like Christmas. It smells like the holidays. Very comforting, very relaxing, very cozy. This is the perfect type of thing you would wear if you're getting snuggled up by the fireplace in the evening and just enjoying your Christmas decorations and time with your friends and family and whatever. It's just a really, really nice December scent. Generally, I hit this one heaviest in December, and then usually, again, January, February, I'm starting to kind of transition a little bit, maybe getting into some boozy scents, some heavier woods, just to kind of run through my different types of winter scents before winter is over officially. But yeah, SPICEBOMB Extreme, great one. Another one that you could put into this spot here could be Parfums de Marly Harrod or Serge Lutens Chergui. Pick your favorite tobacco and put it in here. I think it works great in December. All right, you guys, that's going to do it for me. My number one favorite fragrance for each season. This just kind of gives you a look into my world, into my head, and what I think about when choosing scents for the time of year, the type of weather, the situations, the events, and all that good stuff. Links will be down below. Don't forget to check out my community tab and, more importantly, my mailing list. Guys, I promise you, if you sign up to that mailing list, you will save a lot of money and you will pick up some incredibly rare things. It is worth every penny and it's completely free to sign up. That's going to do it for me. Thank you so much for watching. Stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll see you tomorrow with another one. Take care.